everyone. Welcome to another episode of Wisdom Wednesday with Dr. Heather. I'm so happy that you're here. We're going to continue on today with our talk about the fruits of the Spirit. And if you didn't get a chance to listen to last week's video about the first fruit of the Spirit, which is love, make sure you go back and check that out. Why the fruits of the Spirit? The fruits of the Spirit really is all about what every person in the world's soul really craves, regardless of what they believe and what their faith and foundation is. I learned about the fruits of the Spirit as a Christian in a Bible study that I had done. And I wanted to be able to share this message about what the fruits of the Spirit are and how to really be able to embody them. So therefore you can even be more successful in your business or work as a parent or a spouse, really being able to grow in these fruits, create a solid foundation to stand on, not only in business, but also life. And it allows you to be able to operate in a place of ease and grace and create all peace on all sides of life, even in the midst of the chaos and the turmoil. Again, the spirits also allow you to be able to eliminate negative thoughts and feelings of doubt, of worthiness, anger, sadness, fear, hurt, and guilt. Can be able to help you resolve some of these things. And it can also give you the confidence to know that you're made for amazing and wonderful things. And it's my desire for every one of you who are listening to know, own, and believe that. So therefore you can really make your dreams a reality and that you can operate in a place that is working smarter, not harder, and creating time, money, and emotional freedom. So today's topic is on joy. Again, what are the fruits of the Spirit? They come from Galatians 5:22 and 23. And it says the fruits of the Spirit is love, which we covered last week. Today, we're covering joy. It also includes peace, patience, kindness, generosity, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. So this joy, joy, I know that sometimes it's hard to be able to feel joyful, even when there's heavy stuff going on, even not only with ourselves, but also possibly with our loved ones. Sometimes we lose hope. Sometimes we lose heart on, is joy even possible? Is this something that I can even do with everything that's going on? And I want to be able to let you know it absolutely is. It absolutely is. Today, I'm going to share with you 3 secrets on how to increase and enhance your joy. And I definitely think that they will be something that will be really awesome for you to embody and be and just express and expand. So stay tuned for that. First, though, I want to share with you a couple of things about what I learned about joy from my readings of the Bible. There's a couple scriptures that I want to share with you. And the first one is from Romans 12:12. And it says, be joyful in hope, patient in affliction, and faithfulness in prayer. And for those of you who are struggling maybe with anxiety, right? Like I know I used to have a really big anxiety even around people and around certain things. And that's the peace of God has actually allowed that anxiety, even when it was great within me, that consolation or that I guess total presence of ultimate joy. And so it's a scripture, Psalms 94:19, that says, when anxiety is great within me, your consolation brought me joy. It's how to be able to receive I talked about before, giving and receiving is the same energy. We can be able to give and express joy, but it's also important to recognize that you also deserve to receive joy as well. Ask and you will receive, and your joy will be complete. So it's John 16:24. I love that one. And then First Peter 1:8 said 8-9 says, you believe in him and you are filled with an inexpressible and glorious joy, and for you receiving the end result of your faith. Let's see, a couple more. Let me read this one. Oh, this one's good. Romans 15:32 says, so that I may come to you with joy by God's will, and your company will be refreshed. A cheerful heart is a good medicine, but a crushed spirit dries up like bones. And this was what Proverbs 17:22 says. So let's get into this today. I hear a lot of people saying, why am I not happy? Or I just want to be happy. Like, why can't I be happy? And I want you to know first, the first secret, so I'm going to share with you these 3 secrets on how to increase your joy. The first one is letting you know that there's a difference between joy and happiness. Okay. Happiness, if I asked you on a scale of 1 to 10, what is your level of happiness, right? On a scale of 1 to 10, where 1 is not at all happy and 10 is totally happy. Where are you right now in this moment? See, happiness is like a fleeting thing. It comes and goes. You can be happy one moment, you can be sad the next. With joy, though, joy is withstanding. It's just a state of being. It's just something that is internal, that is always there, even in the midst of uncertainty, or even in the midst of heaviness, even in the midst of sometimes when you feel like you can't see a way. Or the joy, knowing that there's something greater, is something that that God can be able to give you and expand it, right? So you can count it all joy. I remember as I was getting ready for this video that I one time called my pastor's wife and I was like, I am about to spontaneously explode and combust. Like, this is not joyful. I don't feel joyful at all. What the hell is happening? And she said, you better count it all joy that the enemy is messing with you. That just means you're on purpose. And she totally reframed it. I'm like, okay, I see what you mean. See, if you weren't called for amazing things, and if you weren't so important to the bigger picture of what God is trying to do on this planet, then, you wouldn't have a lot of difficulties. The enemy wouldn't really mess with you, right? The enemy wouldn't even you wouldn't even be a fleeting thought. But if there are battles, and if there are challenges, and if there are obstacles that you're like, I don't know how to overcome, continue going one step at a time, getting the right support, seeking the right people to be able to work with. So therefore, you can be able to recognize what these battles are and recognize that they're actually much smaller in the bigger picture of things. It's almost like receiving God's joy and living in God's joy allows us to be able to debunk any battles that might even come up in our mind or anything that comes up in our own world. So knowing that difference, that's the first secret. What is the difference between that happiness that we seek versus the joy? Is actually, the joy is so much higher and so much more withstanding and long lasting and permanent, right? I will share with you though, that there was a study that was done. It was taken pretty much internationally, I believe. They took samples from all over, and they were looking at what the happiness ratio is among the world. So here's what's interesting. If you're feeling like, oh my gosh, I'm not happy, like what is going on? I'm just not happy. Know that you're definitely not alone, because the average happiness rating on a scale of 1 to 10, where 1 is not at all happy and 10 is like totally happy, a majority of the world rated a 2 or 3 of their happiness. And I was like, you know what? We got to change that. It would be nice to change that. I remember many years of feeling unhappy, unfulfilled inside, where the society or the world saw like, oh my gosh, she's so successful. And there was just so much amazingness. And me as Dr. Heather is like, I know they see that, but I don't feel it. Or you achieve a certain level of success and you think, oh my gosh, this is going to bring me happiness. And you realize when you get to that success, like, wait, this is not happy. There's so much more. Then you have to be able to pivot and change the picture. I totally understand and get that. So here is secret number 2 that can be able to help you increase your joy. Count it all joy. Count it all joy. I have I don't know where it is right now, somewhere on my desk. I have the scripture. Oh, here it is. Psalms 1:18-24. I have this little thing that I bought from one of the local stores. And it says, "This is the day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it." Remember, again, I talked about all we have is today. Tomorrow's not here yet. A lot of stuff that creates our worries and our anxieties and our uncertainty is fear of the unknown. What is tomorrow going to look like? What is 6 months going to look like? The past is already gone. There's nothing we can do to change it, but we can be able to heal it. And sometimes a lot of us can live in the past, right? With all of the traumas and stuff that have happened. And the goal is to be in the present just for today. Just for today. Count it all joy. Count it all joy, because everything where we think sometimes is working against us, it actually is working for us, right? I think about some of the traumas that I've gone through in my life, and I'm like, in the moment, I was just so mad at God. I'm like, why in the world is all this happening? Like, how much do you hate me for me to go through this? And what I learned now, being on this mission of empowerment and coaching and speaking and teaching and sharing people that it's possible to have a brighter future. We don't have to have a great past to have a great future. What I've learned is that all of those things that I went through, they were actually working for my good. So therefore I could be able to understand and even have more empathy and clarity of what the people that I'm serving have experienced, have gone through, what their blocks are. And I recognize, wow, like I can actually be appreciative of all that crazy mess. And I know that if it's possible for me to have gone from that path of like spiraling down to this path of spiraling up, that is possible for anyone, regardless of what they've gone through, what they've done, where they've been, who they are, et cetera, et cetera. Because this is kind of going on a tangent, but I feel like I want to definitely talk about this now. A lot of times we place our value of ourselves on what we do, like how much money we have, how many things we have, right? And in the grand scheme of things, none of that stuff matters. We can't take it with us. There's a greater value on us than sometimes when we place ourselves. One of the things I hear, especially from a lot of entrepreneurs, is that difficulty in charging what you're worth. And I totally get that. The reality is that when you shift the value that you see in yourselves, it yes increases your confidence. And yes, it also increases your ability to be able to say what you charge and raise your prices when it's called for with ease and not with any kind of reservation. Sometimes entrepreneurs are even scared of selling. And, there's a fear sometimes of making the offer. And what I learned is basically when you're selling, and my belief is when I'm selling, I'm serving, right? Am I going to keep people in their problem and not really be able to offer them the best solution and be to really overcome and be of great service to the world? How many people are waiting for you to show up? How many people are being disserviced by other people who might not be able to support them as much as you can? I remember lives literally were lost because of my procrastination and hesitancy and fear of showing up. And the reality is you get to the point where you can only ride the fence. Like we can hear the call for our life, right? Or continue to endure the pain fighting against it. Sometimes we want to straddle the fence, right? One step in, 1 foot in, 1 foot out. The reality is, guys, saying you got to go all in. You got to go all in, rely on my joy, rely on my love, rely on my trust, rely on my faith. So therefore I can really step in and you can really step into everything that you've been called to step into. Wow, that was so good. So count it all joy, good, bad, and ugly. Okay. And I know that it might not be easy at first, but see, a lot of times we're not necessarily fearful of maybe the darkness within us. We're sometimes fearful of our light. the fact that we just might and are powerful beyond measure, unlimited, where sometimes we can even limit ourselves. So the biggest trick is to be able to lean into the darkness, right? Get peace with it, help make it light. So therefore you can shine bright. Some of you know this, for all the world to see. And it's just your world. Your messages might not be for everyone. Sometimes people get caught up in judgment or perception of what other people think about them, and that prevents them from actually living their calling. And I was on a call the other day and I asked the question, I thought this was great. What's more important, other people's view of you or God's view of you? Other people's judgment of you or God's judgment of you? And then also I thought about what's more important, other people's judgment of you or your own judgment of you? See, sometimes we base also our value on what other people say about us. Well, I just want to be able to debunk that right now, because everyone is filtering what they see and what they imagine and what they're experiencing through their own reality. Some people are going to love you, some people are not. Does it really matter in the grand scheme of things of what you're called to do? And the answer is no. You know, I know for me, there's a big fear of actually doing videos and speaking and expressing, because what are people going to say? Who the freak cares? Because you can be able to be joyful even in the midst of all of that. And the reality is sometimes you might trigger other people, not based on anything that you do, but really the stuff that's going on within them. So that's not even our issue. This allows us to be able to get focused. When we have this joy, when we have this clarity, it allows us to be able to get focused and be able to have passion in our journey as compared to resistance. It allows the wind to work with us as compared to sometimes we feel like we're going against the wind. Okay, secret number 3. Find the joy in small things and expand it. So I learned that joy has such a great connection with gratitude. I shared maybe in a couple of videos before that gratitude and sadness cannot exist in the same space. Where we can get caught up in our sadness and depression and anger and spiral down, right? When we cultivate our joy and our gratitude and our appreciation for even the small things, it allows us to be able to spiral up. And our joy, when we focus on those small things, so even almost make a list of what are you grateful for? What are the things that you can be grateful for today in the midst of it? And then what I like to do is like sometimes envision what that gratitude is, and then give it permission to expand. So therefore I can be grateful and joyful in all things. So let me know which one of these spoke to you the most. Secret, joy versus happiness, counting it all joy, or being able to find joy in the midst of things and expand it. If you like what you hear in this video, make sure you like, share, and comment, right? And we look forward to being able to hear from you and see, what was your biggest takeaway from this message? I hope you have an amazing Wisdom Wednesday, and I look forward to seeing you next week when we talk about peace. Oh, I love that one. That was one of my favorites. All right, have a great day, and I'll see you soon. Peace.